An interpretation of specific verses from Surah Yusuf by the revered Sheikh al-Sha'rawi. Our mission, really, is to explore the deep spiritual layers, the meaning within these sacred texts. We'll look at the unique nature of the Quran itself, human relationships, divine communication. It's all in there.
It is, and what's truly captivating, I think, is how this material, it gives us a lens, not just for theology, but for, well, incredible linguistic precision, too, and timeless human psychology. We're going to explore just how much profound spiritual insight you can actually extract from what might seem, at first glance, like just a few lines of text.
Okay, let's get into it then. The source starts right off with a core idea.
Yeah.
The Quran is distinct. It's fundamentally different from earlier divine messages. How? How does Sheikh al-Sharawi explain that?
Right. So the core distinction, the way it's presented, is that the Quran uniquely combines both the miracle and the methodology. So the guidance, the divine law, it's all wrapped up in one thing.
Unlike before.
Exactly. Think about it. Previous prophets, before Muhammad, they often had separate miracles, sometimes things that happened once and were gone, right, to prove who they were, and then they had separate books with their laws. But the Quran, as Sheikh al-Sharawi explains it, is the enduring miracle itself. The text itself is the miracle.
Okay.
And it's meant for everyone, all of humanity, all times, addressing all questions, all responsibilities. So that means the miracle is still here, accessible for anyone who believes in Muhammad, right up until the day of judgment. It's like a living spiritual testament.
That's a really powerful shift in how we think about divine communication. But, okay, if the message is truly for everyone, for all time, why was it revealed specifically in Arabic? That feels like a pretty big question, doesn't it? Especially for a global message.
It's a crucial point, definitely. And the interpretation gives, well, two main reasons. Firstly, it was an initial challenge. Directed specifically at the people the prophet was sent to, first his own people, the Arabs.
Okay, the immediate audience.
Right, to make sure the message was received, understood, put down roots right there. But secondly, and this is where it gets really profound, once it was believed, once it had those roots, the message was always meant to spread globally. The source suggests, and this is fascinating, that even though it came to an unlettered nation...
And we should clarify, that doesn't mean illiterate, right? More like a society without the same kind of formal scholarly traditions as others at the time.
Exactly. A society without vast written archives or established philosophical schools in the same way as, say, Persia or Rome. Yet, paradoxically, this revelation challenged all civilizations, East-West, in their technology, their philosophy.
So it wasn't just for them, but it started there and contained things relevant way beyond their immediate world.
Precisely. The source even uses this word soka, istibat. It means like to foretell, but it's richer, like extracting or deriving future knowledge, almost like drawing water from a really deep well. It suggests these truths aren't just predictions, they're like fundamental realities embedded in the text itself, waiting for human intellect to uncover them.
Wow.
Imagine thinking that insights into things like, say, embryology or cosmology, things science would only figure out centuries later, were conceptually there in this ancient text, decades, centuries before discovery. That's presented as powerful proof of its divine origin, its continuous spiritual relevance.
That really does reframe the whole idea of ancient wisdom. And sticking with language, there's that critique you sometimes hear. If it's purely Arabic, why do some linguists find words that seem, I don't know, Persian or Coptic or Yemeni? How does Sheikh al-Sharawi handle that?
Yeah, that's a sharp question, and the source tackles it head-on, addressing that specific query from Orientalists. The explanation given is, well, it's beautifully simple but quite profound. A word becomes Arabic when Arab speakers adopt it and use it continuously. It's just how language works, how it evolves.
Like loanwords today.
Exactly like loanwords today. Think about English. How many words came from French or Latin or Hindi? Over time, they just become part of the language. Everyone understands them. So if the Arabs understood a word and used it, it became part of their linguistic fabric. It shows the divine message working within a living, changing human language, not some kind of rigid, static code. It's a really pragmatic and, I think, deeply wise view.
That makes sense. Okay, building on that, this idea of the Quran's challenge, its dynamism, the source highlights a key phrase, so that you may reason or understand. Sheikh al-Sharawi really emphasizes this. What are the implications for us, spiritually, intellectually?
Oh, this phrase is huge, so that you may reason. It's presented as like an explicit invitation from God. Engage your highest mental faculties, your intellect. Engage in deep spiritual and intellectual thought. The source uses that great analogy, the craftsman, remember? An honest craftsman, totally confident in their work. They want you to look closely, inspect it, think about it, ask questions before you commit.
Right, they encourage scrutiny.
Exactly. But a dishonest one, they'll rush you, discourage thinking, because they know close inspection will reveal the flaws.
Okay.
This isn't just a nice story. It's saying something fundamental about truth itself, especially divine truth. It thrives on scrutiny. It welcomes intellectual engagement. Falsehood, on the other hand, shrinks from it. So it's a divine call to critical thinking, to a faith that's explored, understood, not just blindly accepted. The real golden nugget here, maybe, is that it's not just an invite. It's almost like a command. Use your intellect. It turns faith into this active, critical pursuit of spiritual truth. It challenges us to be thinkers.
That analogy really makes it click. So divine truth isn't fragile. It actually gains strength through inquiry. It doesn't fear questions. Okay. Shifting slightly, another fascinating language point, the pronouns. Specifically, God using we, like in same use. We narrate to you the best of stories. Why we? Why not just I?
Right. Another excellent question about the divine voice. The source clarifies this really well. When God uses we, nanu, it signifies the multitude of divine attributes involved, the majesty, the sheer scope of what's required for an action. Think about it. Any divine act involves God's complete knowledge, his perfect wisdom in deciding it, his infinite power to make it happen, his resources. We encompasses all of that. It's a statement of omnipotence, of total capability.
This is about the attributes needed for the action.
Precisely. But when God refers to his pure essence, his unique self, then the singular I is used, like in Warkado, verily I am Allah. That singular I points to the unique, indivisible divine essence. So it beautifully distinguishes between the one essence and the many ways that essence manifests through action and attributes. It gives you a much deeper sense of divine majesty, of spiritual power, beyond our usual understanding of singular or plural.
Okay, amazing precision there. So after that, we narrate to you the best of stories. What makes these Quranic stories the best? It's obviously not just about, a gripping plot.
Exactly, not just entertainment. The source really unpacks the word qasas. It explains that it comes from qas al-athar. That phrase means literally to follow a trace or a footprint, meticulously, accurately.
Following the exact path.
Yes. So it implies relating exactly what happened. No artistic license, no adding bits for drama or suspense like, a modern novelist might. Quranic stories aim to convey the precise reality, the truth of the event, in order to draw out profound spiritual lessons. They're presented as divine chronicles, not fictions.
How does that stack up against, say, human historical accounts?
Well, if you think about it, human history often focuses on specific times, specific people, maybe with a limited view. The Quranic stories, the source explains, can be structured differently, sometimes around a central event, with people revolving around it, or sometimes around a central person, with events unfolding around them. The story of Yusuf, Joseph, is highlighted as combining both. You have Yusuf as the central figure with so many events and other characters orbiting him, but you also have major events like the famine that draw other characters in. This kind of comprehensive, interconnected way of telling the story, plus their accuracy and timeless relevance, that's part of what makes them the best of stories. They act like a spiritual mirror, reflecting these universal human truths.
And the deeper lessons, the spiritual takeaways.
Yes, the best aspect is definitely also about the layers of wisdom, the guidance they offer for our own spiritual journeys. The story of Yusuf in particular is just packed with lessons for pretty much every stage of life. You see the challenges of childhood, the seeds of destiny. You see sibling rivalry, that bitterness, coping with terrible injustice, imprisonment, which then becomes this crucible for resilience. Then the complexities of power, the temptations and responsibilities, and ultimately that whole spiritual arc of humility, forgiveness, leading to true strength. Every part offers deep insights into human nature, into divine plans, painting this incredibly rich spiritual landscape.
The source also makes a point about the prophet's own background before he received these revelations, doesn't it? To underscore their divine origin.
Yes, absolutely crucial point. That verse, though before it you were among the heedless, it's making a clear statement. Muhammad, before the Quran came to him, he wasn't a scholar of ancient histories. He wasn't a writer poring over old texts.
His reputation was for character. Trustworthiness.
Exactly. High moral character, known as Alamin, the trustworthy, but not for being learned in these specific intricate narratives or possessing the kind of profound spiritual insights the Quran contains. So This lack of prior human knowledge becomes powerful evidence. How else could these detailed, accurate stories, this deep wisdom, have come to him, except from a divine source, from God himself? And the insight there is profound, too. His unawareness isn't just proof, it redefines prophecy. It shows the message isn't a human achievement, not a product of study, but a direct, pure spiritual transmission. That solidifies the miraculous nature of it all. And heedless, Gafilin here, just means unaware of these specific stories, not generally ignorant or careless.
Okay, let's zoom in on Yusuf's story itself, starting with the dream. That's where the surah kicks off. He tells his father, I saw 11 stars in the sun and the moon. I saw them prostrating to me. Now, the source highlights the repetition, I saw, in Arabic, ra'aytu. Why is that repeated? What's the significance?
That's a fantastic point about the linguistic precision, and it ties into prophetic insight. The repetition of Raitu I saw is key. The first I saw is about the literal sighting. He saw the stars, the sun, the moon as objects.
Seeing them in the dream sky.
Right. But the second I saw, that refers to the vision of them in a specific state, prostrating. This signals something deeper, symbolic, prophetic. It points to a future reality where these symbols representing his family acknowledge his high status, his spiritual rank. So it's not just description, it emphasizes the dream's dual nature. It's a visual experience, yes, but also a profound, divinely given prophecy. And the detail about non-rational things like stars prostrating, using a plural form, usually for intelligent beings, that underlines the immense honor and spiritual significance being shown to Yusuf.
And his father, Jacob, who is also a prophet, he gets it immediately. He tells Yusuf, my dear son, don't relate your vision to your brothers or they might concoct a plot against you. What does this immediate reaction tell us about Yaqub's wisdom and about this idea of plotting?
Yaqub's reaction is incredibly revealing. His immediate counsel, spoken with such tenderness, Ya Bunaya, my dear son, shows his deep prophetic insight. He understands human nature, especially the potent spiritual danger of envy that can fester between siblings. The source even differentiates between Roya Yusuf's dream, a prophetic vision, and just Ray, which is simple seeing or opinion. This highlights the dream's spiritual weight and why Yaqub knew it needed careful handling. Revealing it could ignite terrible jealousy.
So what is this plot then, this Cade? Is it just making a plan?
Cade is more specific than just any plan. It's explained as a kind of subtle, indirect cunning. It's often used by someone who feels they lack the power or maybe the courage for a direct, open confrontation.
So it's sneaky.
Exactly. It's manipulation, deception, often hidden, operating under the surface. And while it might seem like a tool of the weak, it can be incredibly potent because it is hidden, often fueled by those negative spiritual states, jealousy, resentment, envy. The source also explicitly links this to Satan, who's called an open enemy, Aduwwun Mubin. Satan works subtly from all directions to mislead, to cause friction, especially by fanning the flames of jealousy and division between people. It really makes you pause and think, doesn't it? How many conflicts or misunderstandings in our own lives might have roots in these kinds of subtle, unacknowledged schemes, this quiet undercurrent of Cade?
Definitely food for thought. So let's try to wrap this up. What does this all mean for us listening now? This deep dive, it's revealed just a stunning level of detail, of interconnectedness in these verses. We've seen the Quran's unique nature, miracle, and guidance, its call for deep intellectual engagement, the profound insights into human psychology, spiritual truth, all embedded in these best of stories. There's just so much there.
And if we zoom out for a second, it really underscores how knowledge, particularly divinely sourced knowledge, gives us these incredible insights, not just theology, but the very fabric of human experience. The subtle ways our intentions, good or bad, actually play out. It really challenges you, I think, to look beyond the surface of any story, any situation, to see the spiritual core and find guidance for navigating life.
Absolutely. This dive showed us how every single word, every concept seems chosen with such incredible precision, offering layer upon layer of meaning, encouraging us to reason, to observe, to understand not just what happened in these stories, but why it matters, connecting us to that deeper spiritual reality.
So maybe a final thought for you to take away and mull over. Think about that distinction we discussed between direct confrontation and that subtle scheming, that Cade, which Yaqub warned Yusuf about regarding his brothers. How might understanding that difference change how you interpret things in your own life? Hidden motivations, maybe? Unaddressed tensions in relationships around you? How often might a subtle plot be playing out quietly? And how can wisdom, how can spiritual discernment help you navigate that with integrity?
Thank you for watching. Explore our bookstore on Amazon.